Okay, so you want to confirm reporting for February?
So I want to move them as true and correct because I want to comment on them. So
I'm happy to move them as true and correct.
Did we get a second?
We've got.
Right.
Oh, I'm happy to move them. You now choose.
Okay.
You want to move them, Chair.
Okay, well, you can move them.
Fine. Kia ora, Mr. Chair. We now need a second.
Okay, good.
So, look, my concern is that if we go to page 15 and look at the 5 or the 9 recommendations, I moved those, but my comments weren't recorded. They weren't recorded in live stream and they certainly weren't recorded at all. And I have a concern, and I do want to make it public, seeing this meeting is recorded, that I did speak against these motions. I moved them, but I spoke against all of them. And what I would like recorded is that I'm going to present what I said to this to the council and have it recorded. So I'm not going to read them all again. I'm just going to send them to Chris and have them available if people wish to see them. Because this, to me, is not a true and correct record. It actually says that these actions were 5 against, 5 for and 4 against, with no explanation of why the 4 voted against it. And I believe it's important that we need that recorded. So I have it written down and I will be forwarding Chris for recording. So the other thing which is not recorded here is, which would have been recorded if it had been live streamed, is my right of reply. Because I moved the motion, spoke to it, listened to the other councillors, and then had my right of reply. And because that wasn't actually written down, I do just want to quickly reiterate that, because my first bit will be recorded for future if any of the public wish to read it. So my right of reply basically in summary said that I'm happy to move forward from the past, but I do not agree that these motions, and in particular the motions on combining audit and risk and investment in property, are a good move forward. So I do want that recorded. So I opposed them, and I opposed it specifically for the reason that I believe we should have independent committees. We have a risk and finance committee, an audit and risk finance committee. So audit and risk.
Through the chair, point of order, please. We don't need a councillor to repeat,
Yes,
things that were spoken there. I think it's quite clear what Rick is asking. I see that Jono has gone to seek advice. Are we following standing orders? That's all we need to know.
Thank you. And my right of reply is just saying that I do not approve of audit and risk and finance and property and investment being put together. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to get Chris to respond on that.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. 2 matters. Yes, we did have some technical issues with the live stream, but it is now up on the NRC website. The comms have got that recording uploaded, so your comments are recorded. And as we agreed when responding to the Ombudsman's report, that is how we're actually going to capture people's comments for or against the motion. And I'll just draw your attention to Standing Order 19.6, which is about request to have votes recorded. It is quite clear that if requested by a member immediately after a vote, the minutes must record the member's vote or abstention. Recording any other matters, for example, the reason for the vote or abstention, is not permitted. The reason behind that is, why would I record one person's reason for and not everyone's against, or vice versa? It's either all or nothing, and Standing Orders is quite clear about that.
Thank you. So I did check on Monday, well, Friday, can't remember, that it wasn't up. So it is up now.
That's my understanding. Comms had to do a little bit of.
I didn't need to do this if it was up. So then thank you. If it's up, that's fine. My understanding was it was lost and wasn't going to be up at all. That's fine. If it's up, that's great.
Well, just one other thing here, so we all learned. If someone calls a point of order, the meeting's got to stop instead of a point of order. Tui said point of order. She's got the right for consideration of that matter, and then you make a decision, go back to the business or otherwise. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And it's quite difficult. We're all learning,
Yeah, just in support, Mr. Chair, and the speaker, in fact, could have been exceeding the time allocated, which is 3 minutes. and the point of order is raised, and then I would have liked to have known what the point was that that in the orders, and just so that we understand what was the reason for the point of order.
Okay, well, I think it's rude for somebody who's got within the 3 minutes to talk, somebody else to cut it over the top. I think you wait and be respectful, please, and then respond.
Point of order doesn't allow you to cut it.
Yeah, okay, so I'm letting those thoughts.
So thank you. If I'd known it was up.
We
I
need
wouldn't
to
have
have
brought that up.
clarification. Excuse me. I raised a point of order, and that, as Joe has said, is within my right. We cannot say that now that people cannot raise points of order.
Anyway, I think we've got the sus.
You've got it, Sus, too. Technical things like this will definitely come on a learning curve, so thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay. So we've got a moved. We need to carry it. Carried. All in favour? Aye. Okay. Receipt of action sheet 5.2. All from Chris Taylor, Governance Specialist. That the action be received.
Yeah, I'll move.
Yep. Right, we need a seconder.
Yeah, I think.
Jack. Any issues? Just that the action sheet be received, you've got the actions here. Any discussion?
What's a bit of clarity on that first item there, the staff recommend that no further funding be applied to the translate from English to Te Reo in council meeting. We have translation that the reason I asked the question is we have translation from English to Maori, from Maori to English, so we get to understand. So you'd think that people who are going to speak in Maori may want to reply in Maori because maybe you'll more understand the truth. So I was just interested to find out why staff come up with that conclusion.
Any interaction there, Oriel?
Oh, kia ora. Council. So the question was whether or not we could translate all English to Te Reo. That's what we responded on. And in terms of Te Reo to English for our council, we've got that in LTP as a responsible funding, but for English to Te Reo in the work that our team would look at, that would be beyond our ability with the current capacity we have. So that was what we responded to, is all of the English to Te Reo Māori. Just to clarify.
Thanks, Royal. Yeah, the intention wasn't to have all English translated into Maori, but if there's a question in Maori by one of the members, which is translated, then perhaps that question, when responded in English, should be translated in Maori, because the Maori is possibly spoken for a Maori audience. Not with everybody, not with every matter that we're doing, but when Maori is asked or spoken to, then perhaps it should be responded to that audience in Maori. That was my thinking. So, not the whole meeting.
Understood.
Yeah. Thanks, Lou.
Okay, we'll take that back as maybe an action to look at. Oh, just on.
I guess just recall this was raised during an agenda discussion by Councillor Robinson. I guess just seeking clarification before we go and do more work, just to make sure that this is what the majority of councils. Well, there's going to be work here for us to go away and do and come back and bring back a proposal for council and budget and all that sort of thing. Just to make sure that this is what council is wanting us to do.
All right, so we'll get a.
Can I just ask there, we've got a translator on hand who is translating from Maori to English.
Yes.
So surely it's possible without any extra cost for that translator to translate the response from English into Maori for the recipients. The person's here, we've got the translator.
Yeah. Come over here. No, I haven't got mine back. Anyway. I think in the current proposal, we can consider, because yes, we've got a translator, we've got the proposal in for interpretation of services, or translation of te reo at our public meetings so that it increases the accessibility of te reo Māori speakers to participate in the meetings. But that's the general principle. How do that happens? We'll need to talk to the translator and the expertise we have to look at how much we can accommodate that principle.
Thanks, Oriel. Thanks.
Lucas.
So just a question, Mr. Chairman. I understand the request from Martin. Engari ko haua mahu te tangata I kōrero Māori ana I me hui. I'm the only person that speaks Māori at these words. Hawatu e ngā tau ana hau ki whakarongo ki ngā kōrero a e tahi atu. And I can understand the replies from other people. What I would like to better understand is who would benefit from this translation service from English into Māori. Understanding language loss and cultural decline in Te Tai Tokero and the impact of white assimilation in the communities that make up Te Tai Tokero, I'm keen to understand who would benefit from the English content being translated into Māori and whether or not we fully understand the workload to translate debate live. That means that there are a number of people that sitting around this table that are offering content in English. That is an extremely big job. I'm not saying it's not worthy of translation. I'm just understanding the format that might happen in and the amount of resource. And when I say resource, I'm talking expertise as well. And as somebody that has been involved in interpretations previously, I'm just wondering whether or not that is necessary. I'm exercising my right to speak Māori when I do, but I'm not sure if it would be necessary to translate every English portion of the meeting into Māori. It may well be, I'm not sure, but whether or not we have the resource to do that is another question. It might be something that we might work towards in the future.
So you're asking, would there be a beneficial result as well?
I'm a proficient English and Māori language speaker. I'm keen to understand who would benefit from this, and if the councillor that has made this request perhaps knows something about the Māori language speaking audience that I don't, and I am a award-winning radio broadcaster, so I know a little bit about Māori language speaking audiences.
We'll give Māori one right to reply when the audience is targeted.
Well, as I said, I'm not suggesting that the whole meeting is translated. I must have suggested that to everybody. But when, and I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. I didn't have a translation on for Māori that you did speak. But when you speak, speaking in Māori, there is a Māori audience that may like to hear the response in Māori. And so that's why when your Māori is being translated, your pātai or your comments being translated, then it seems appropriate to me that if there's a Māori audience there, that they may like to hear the response translated from the English to Māori for their clarification. That's what the service is for.
So just in response to that, and just Mr. Chair, I'd just like to know the audience that the councillor making the request, is he speaking about audience in the room, or is he talking about audience online? Those numbers, of course, we could probably count on, one or two hands. And so when we think about our online audience and our online presence and gender, how many of those users or people that are accessing our content actually do speak Māori?
Okay, so that would have to be a comms thing, that would all come back to us. Yeah, Joe?
Chair, the CEO posed a question, do we want to have him or staff to write a report, which costs money? I want some money spent back in this one. I'm very aware of it, and I support the recent start, Tommy. And yeah, I think we should.
Okay, so I'd like to nail it on the head. Who's in favour of Marty's proposal? Please raise your hand.
Was absolutely no extra cost.
Hold on, Marty, I want to move this on.
Yeah.
Who was against Marty's proposal? Raise your hand. Okay, moved. Carry on. Right. So can I have that we move, carried the item 6.1, 5.2, sorry. All in favour? Right, 6.1. The financial accounts. This report, financial report to January 2024 by Tika Skipworth, financial accountant, and dated 12th February 2024 be received. Do I have a mover?
Yep.
Okay, Rick and Jack seconded.
Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes.
I note that there was no performance report from Ericsson Global in the past quarter, and that it will be reported in February. Is there a reason why Ericsson Global? Hey, is that Jonathan on there?
Yes,
Hey,
we're just going to get to that.
It's Leanne from Tato Tato. How are you?
Good, thanks, yeah.
Jonathan, or through the chair, why we were able to get a report before the end of the year, Jonathan?
No, we did a quarterly report in December. That went through.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we've just sent today, and I apologise for it being late, but we've just sent one through today for the 31st of January, which obviously the council may not have seen yet. So
that'll come to you through the mail. Yes, so that's yeah, understood. That's coming. Any other questions around this report?
Just might be in a position to provide a verbal update on the Ericsson's report.
Yeah. Yeah, happy for me to provide.
Yes, absolutely.
So I just quickly had a look at the Ericsson's report, which we received this morning. Thank you, Jonathan, for your report. And it's still looking good. I see for the month just gone, the long-term fund outperformed at a level of 0.6%. They actually returned 0.9% for the month. And year to date, it's right on target, achieving its 4.5% return. And the short-term fund, it also performed favourably at 0.5% against an objective of 0.4 for the month just gone, and year to date, it's achieved 3.9% against an objective of 2.8%. So a good result for the month, January and year to date.
Another question there through the chair. So whilst they're performing in a good position, Bruce and or Jonathan, is there any risks of underperformance in particular fund management that the fund has been put into?
no, if I can answer, Chair, there is the market risk, which is relatively high, but much lower since we had the correction to long-term interest rates in December last year. And as a result of that, just this week, in fact, the US, European, and the Japanese stock markets all reached the highest they have ever been. So the risk is that with stock markets, what goes up can come down. But at the moment, everything is stable. And just over the last 24 hours, the US Treasury yields have gone up a little bit, but it's all very benign, I think is the right way to put it. Now, in that sense, the way we've been advising management is to keep defensive and we've been building up the cash reserves, and we've actually got, when you see the full report, as at the end of last month, we were 0.1% below our lower bound for the equity component of the fund. That's global equities. In other words, we're just slightly more de-risked than the SIPO permits, but it's a rounding error in the sense of it's 0.1%, and it could go either way. The equity markets have actually held up better than the bond markets in January, but the momentum to date in February has been sustained for equity markets. They've just come off a tad overnight, but they're still well higher than they were at the end of last year. So in that sense, if the momentum is sustained, then both funds will do very well. They're well positioned, even if equity markets sell off a little bit. But obviously, if there's a big meltdown, which we think is unlikely unless a major geopolitical event occurs, then we should be okay for the 30th of June. Because this is part of our regular strategy. We actually took quite a chunk of profits off the table early this month to lock in the gains that were made by the long-term fund in the first 6 months of this financial year. So in that sense, it's a very good question, but we are managing the fund with all the known risks taken into account. The problem is, of course, we don't know what we don't know.
Right, thanks, Jonathan.
Okay, anybody else with any communication around this report? Jack?
Well, in fact, thank Jonathan and Genevieve for a great result with equities. My question is about grants and subsidies below revenue forecast. With regard to the expression cost matching, there's a lower than budgeted subsidy allocated for emergency management and cyclone recovery of 134 and 121 due to cost matching. Bruce, can you explain what cost matching to me? I think that don't need some expression I'm familiar with. I'll have to get back to you on that. Thank you for the answer. Yeah.
AC's online. And I think I can do as well.
Kia ora koutou through the chair.
Kia ora, Tuckers.
Kia ora. So cost matching is essentially income in advance. It's where we've received the income from the subsidy or the grant provider, and we can only recognise that income when we've spent the funds for that income. So as we spend the money for that particular project, we recognise the income for it, and often we received a lot of the income well before we spend it. So it's just what we call income in advance.
Thank you very much. I understand. Thank you.
Kia ora.
Any other questions around this? All right. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Okay. On to page 27. Rates collection update. Yep. How do you move? Second. Okay, so we've got Simon Crabb. Simon, are you online?
Kia ora, Chair. Yes. Surprisingly good outcome. It's it's very much in line with last year, which was not bad result. It is a watching brief because this is only to December, and other thing too is the provision for uncollectability. We put an extra 100K in the budget, so at this stage I haven't got any major concerns, but as I said, it's a watching brief, and we'll report the next quarter in April and see if we're in the same situation. But so far so good, Chair.
Okay. Is there any issues around this report? All in favour? Aye. All against? Passed. Okay, page 29, 6.3. Okay, withdrawal of the planned 2023-24 annual general funding contribution from managed funds portfolio. Recommendations that the report withdrawal of the planned 2023-2024 annual general funding contribution from the managed fund portfolio by Simon Crabb, Finance Manager, and dated 8th of February 2024 be received.
I'm happy to take them both.
Okay, take them both.
I'm happy to move them both.
Okay, do we have a seconder? John? Would you like to speak to
Yep,
them?
I mean, we have discussed this at the last investment and property meeting, discussed it in detail, so I'm very happy to, and Jonathan and Jenna Bick are here if we need, if they have any questions, but very happy to move it.
Okay, so the staff recommend option 1. All in favour for option 1, say aye.
Aye.
All against? Passed. Okay.
Mission, that's what it's doing.
Yeah.
Doing what it's supposed to do.
Page 32. Okay, so we've got 6.4. Okay. Okay, good. Proposed carried forward a budget from the PF 2050. Report from Don McKenzie, Biosecurity, and Sam Johnson, Biosecurity Manager, Predator 3. The recommendations is 2 recommendations. Do we take them both together? Those. So we've got the report, proposed carry forward budget of PF 2050 by Don McKenzie, Biosecurity Manager, and Sam Johnson, Biosecurity Manager, Predator 3, dated the 9th of February 2024 be received. Lucas,
I'm happy to
Moved.
move
Yes,
that
seconder.
recommendation.
okay. So do we take both of them together? We're doing it once. Okay. Okay, Dot, any conversation? We've got Sam online.
Can I, through the chair, ask a question?
Yep.
Page 33.3, Māori impact statement. Who and what when we say word hapu and kaitiaki?
I'll have to get
Are
Dot
they
to respond
referring
to
to?
that.
Previous chair, I'll just come around here so my back is not towards you. So we have 2 of these PF 2050 programs in Taipūkero. One of them is in Te Whānui and includes the peninsulas of Rākau Mangamanga, Russell Peninsula, and Purirua Mataroa. And the hapu involved there, Ngāti Torangina, Ngāti Hehea, and of course, Rākau Mangamanga, the trusts and the hapu, Papakea, Ngāti Kuta, and 32 trusts in those areas. So the paitiaki that are working there are grounded in the values of those areas. So there's a breakdown on page 34.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions around this? So
Just one little question, we're absolutely cast iron in terms of no risk of any of that money being held.
And through you, Mr. Chair, this is part of the reason why we're asking council to support this, because this move positions us better with PF 2050. We are spending the PF 2050 money first initially, but the commitment of council to support this program supports future funding.
okay, so we've got two recommendations here. So we need
I think the mover and second that the report be received.
yeah,
We've just carried it.
carry that. We're on to recommendation 2. All in favour that the report be received? Aye. Thank you. Okay, so that the council approve carried forward commitment.
I'll move.
Okay, second it. Okay. Any discussion? These option recommended by the staff is option 2. Provides the completion of the current contract with PF 2050 Limited, which will bring additional funding to the region and provide a robust platform for further funding needs. Anybody against that? All in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, I can tell. Hey, Jonathan, your time is done.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Gonna be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kia ora.
Aye.
Kia ora.
I'm happy to move, it's page 36, review of the regional policy statement. That's correct, isn't it? All three recommendations.
Do we have a seconder? That's it. For all three, take all three together.
Yes. As long as Rick's happy, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yes, and Rick will then give us the option to talk.
So, just want to go to page 43 and so given the current, that's the first paragraph after point 6. Given the current uncertainty over the direction of resource management reform, it's unclear if a 10-year revision of the policy statement is be required. It's taken a long time to get the policy statement out, and a 5-year review is hard. You know, I can imagine there'll be a 10-year review, but it's taken a long time, and given the uncertainty, I'm happy to move it on. And public deserve to get the regional policy statement out there so they can out there, but the reviews.
Any other discussion or thoughts on John?
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
For the regional plan.
Yeah.
We've got out there, this is the regional policy statement, that's already operative and has been out there, this is the review, efficiency and effectiveness.
Just saying, I don't think we'll need a 10-year one, but supporting that.
Joe, you got any conversation around this?
Yeah, it is quite a big one. You know, I can understand the recommendations, but I think there needs to be some discussion at some stage in council on we understand the resolved policy directions from government. Really got to see how it all fits together. And you know, it's a few years ago the issue moved around. So I don't think we want to go to sleep on this one. But maybe we should come back to a workshop when we've got one. We actually do know what the government is tried to do with various changes. I was going to call them reforms, but some people might call them that, we'll call them changes.
So you want to put an action on?
Yeah, please, that's a good idea.
I'm just wondering if we need it, given if we adopt the three recommendations, which recommendation 3 basically says what Joe's asking for.
Okay.
So maybe some clarification is needed from Ruben, but I think I know what you're talking about, Joe. But option 3 is the recommended one. In the recommendation adopting, basically it's exactly what Joe's looking for.
No, I'm happy with that.
Just to provide council, the intention of 3 was exactly what I was asking. It's just that we've had ahead with plan changes to the regional policy statement during this period of uncertainty. Release the report as soon as we've had that greater certainty. We'll definitely be coming back to council to say, look, we've got more certainty. But like, for example, the legislation that's just been repealed, removed even the existence of regional policy statements. I understand there's discussions as to whether that actually comes into the RMA reform. So again, it's just around not wanting to expend public money and go down a track until we have that certainty, but providing you reassurance, I guess, that we will definitely not just put it on the back burner. We'll come back to you once we've got that assurance or certainty from the ground.
Okay, so what we're voting on is staff recommendation option 3. All in favour of option 3?
1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3.
The whole lot,
Yep.
All right.
Against? Right. Page 63. Amy's one, 7.2. I'm happy to move if Amy is happy to be there.
I'll second.
Okay. It's a pretty small report. Amy, you happy to fill this role?
Sure, Jeff. Yes, I am happy, thank you. It's a project that the councillor was part of last term. It was Councillor Justin Blakey was involved last term. And yeah, I would really enjoy the opportunity to be part of it with the endorsement of NRC. At an operational level, the organisation is part of the project. So I guess it just helps with that governance visibility, and very happy to report back periodically to this table to keep the lines of communication open.
Okay, all in favour? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you, Tui, you put your hand up.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just going to say I support that too. So, yeah.
All in favour of supporting, say aye.
Aye.
Against? 7.3.
Yeah, I'll move the recommendations.
I'm happy to second.
Second. All right.
Speak briefly first.
Yes.
Yeah, I was involved with the hearings process with the Euripidi Islands birdsong source consent through significant all its flaws, and rather use 1080 as its least toxic long-term impact, but because of public perception, even in that grand mass scale, we had to use significant. It's got a lot of benefits. I really support the council submission on this matter. It's something the community needs in its toolbox, and there's no real practical alternative for our community.
Okay, there has been discussion through the email of this issue. We have socialised it pretty well on everyone's thoughts. Is there any other thoughts that we would like to bring to the table? So,
I'd like to speak against the motion for what had been said around the facts, but hasn't been for public hearing. That Dofficum has got serious side effects and negative impacts of killing native birds and animals, as well as having a toxic burden on pigs, for instance, or other animals, possums. That are eaten by dogs or are eaten by humans, where there's a toxic burden because of it, because of its secondary killability. Whereas there are other methods that should be investigated and properly costed out. For instance, I use Ratabait myself. There's double tap. There may be others. But I'm very concerned, as you would have seen, that Tuatara died in captivity, having eaten cockroaches, which had picked up a toxic burden, but were just a walking time bomb. And there's other examples of that, the voodoo, the hawks dying from eating dead rats or possums and having a toxic burden in them. So I would like us to seriously reconsider our use of Dofficum in favour of another less toxic poison.
yes, Jack. And then Peter, did you want to?
Yeah, look, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, I sympathise with Marty's concerns. I mean, as a former manager of staff and programs that use a lot of Dofficum, I share those same concerns. And a lot was learned during my time in that this Dofficum is second only to 1080 in terms of its brilliance as a tool, but it has this huge risk of secondary poisoning. Now, the risk of secondary poisoning can be ameliorated, and can be more, they can be mitigated and actually to zero if the poison is not used constantly. If it's used as a pulse treatment only, you use it, quite comprehensively, and then you don't use it for 2 to 3 years, depending on soil types and the habitat and the species at risk. If you don't use it again for another 3 years, your risk is taken away. So it's called best practice. The DOC manual has best practice in it. Now, I'm not saying best practice exists everywhere, because it doesn't. A lot of people are using toxins in a macho way, and they're not aware of the technique. So what I'm saying is, I don't think there's any point in us supporting a ban on use of Dofficum, because it's just absolutely too useful. Rather, that we should be going along with the DOC recommendations, which is strict use as a pulse only, because it is an amazing tool. Second only, or even equal to 1080 in terms of its ability to kill stoats, things like that. So, but I don't want to see us lose the tool. But really, I would like to see us put more emphasis on costing. So thank you, Marty. I do support your concerns, but, well, one further thing I can say is that all the use that we did in Auckland over this 11 years, we did tests on pigs from Hanuas and Great Barrier Island, and also on Ruru where we found them. And we only ever had liver residues in pigs on Great Barrier where the use of Brodio then was really macho as hell. It was just really loose. And so, because there's not a lot of other tools there, and there's no mustard, so the rat population very high. And a lot of absentee owners, so they were baking constantly around the houses. So that's the only place where we found a problem. And then, yes, it is due to macho use. But so in conclusion, I believe that our submission is the right one.
Okay. Okay, Jack, Peter Lucas.
Just for clarification purposes, it appears that we're being asked to receive the report, the way I read it, and also to retrospectively approve the submission. And on those grounds, I'm happy to support it, Mr. Chair. But I'm also mindful that contained within the submission is the statement that the Northland Regional Council supports our community and iwi and hapu to use the toxic agent to manage pests on their field. So I think that's important for us, but also in the following paragraph, we say that it's not NRC's position to advocate for the use of this specific tool. I'm wondering, is that a policy statement, or is that a do we have that confirmed somewhere? That sounds like it comes from somewhere. Is that
was like asking a question?
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
Mr. Chair, we don't have a specific policy on this particular toxin, and our advice has been not to try and create that policy where the agency that manages the use of this is separate. It's the Environmental Protection Agency, and they set out the very regulations and conditions which govern all of its use and who may use this. As a matter of adding to that, Chair, that Broder is one of the few possum baits now that doesn't require a rigorous license. So many of the public will buy that and use it for controlling rodents around the home, their farms and orchards and so on. However, our regional council use of it is very, very low, and we've used it sporadically at places like Hythe and so on. But many community groups use this bait, as councillors have pointed out on their own programs.
If I'm really some background to about we don't advocate farms.
Okay. Tui has got a hand up.
Yes, I'd like to add though. I know that Ngāti Wai Trust Board carried out extensive court cases around the use of Brodifacoum on the islands, in the Bay of Islands. So, and that Māori, some Māori see it as far, far worse, you know, it really is, than 1080, because of its cumulative effects as raised by Māori. So I don't know if we need that sentence. Do we really need that? You know, whilst we know that some Māori use it and others do not, you know, there's a diverse range, as is with many issues, in terms of Te Ao Māori and its you know, support for Brodifacoum or not. And so, you know, as long as we're not saying, as you say, it's not our job to be an advocate. You know, why would so you know, how far does the support that we're stating in the submission, you know, how far is it perceived that we go in terms of that? Thank you, Don, through the chair.
Thanks, Tui, for your comments.
Mr. Chair, we could undertake to refine that sentence or remove that sentence in terms of the submission.
that to MPI and redact that sentence or change it to meet the council's wishes around this aspect of that. If that was an interest.
Do we have, Joe, I was going to say,
Yeah, I could call it right or five if you like, yes, because about the time we wrapped it up. I think our hearing project, Bird Song in the Bay of Islands, was probably four days. And and you go into a hearing with a sort of a basic feeling on something. And I had a basic feeling very like Marty's. Yeah, very like. And it was strongly supported by one of the submitters was Henry Rangi Kurud, well-known lawyer, and supporting us, encouraging us to support it. And it was the only hearing I've had where I had post the hearing abuse. Quite interesting for the decision. Yeah, that was pretty heated. But you know, in the balance of it, it's a tool we needed, and it's a tool that the actual individuals using can use safely without immediate threat. And the idea of getting our community to start using cyanide, well, they have to have a penicillin license, but you know, it's immediate instant death. And, you know, like this for all its disadvantages, it's got huge advantages, and it's not perfect, but it's just useful. Yeah.
okay, so we need to wrap this up, you're right, John. So we either vote to take it as it is under option 1, support the staff option, or if we don't get to vote on that, we'll come back to it. So all in favour is option 1. Aye. Against?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, you're no. He's against. Thank you. Amy said aye. She said aye against. Are you against it, Amy?
No, sorry, I'm in support. This is actually a retrospective approval, and we emailed our feedback. But I understand the conversation. For me, it's a tool in the toolbox, and the real detail comes in how it's managed on the ground. So, kia ora.
Yeah, it being a tool in the toolbox, I'd rather use a scalpel than a saw.
Yeah, but we have had plenty of time to socialise this for responses. And thank you, Marty, for your opinions. Okay, so let's move on to 7.4, which is page 73. Okay, resourcing, the implementation of the freshwater farm plan. Now we have workshopped this. Okay, the recommendations. Is that the report be received? I have a second to that, Joe. John?
You want to take them all together?
Well, we have workshopped it, so yes, I will take them all together.
Yep.
Yes. Any discussion?
Through the chair, can I ask a question on recommendations for 4A? Why did Tangata Whenua, what was the rationale from management around Tangata Whenua catchment planning grants being used, and were there other means that they could take from to be able to support and fund this?
Okay. It's Ruben.
Yeah, sort of through the chair. So just to clarify, we're not recommending to draw down from the Tangata Whenua funds. The recommendation is to retain and continue to deliver those. Where we're seeking the budget for this is within the land management reserve. It's effectively made up of carry forwards spent funding, some of which historically would have been made up of the Tangata Whenua catchment fund that wasn't spent in previous years.
So the wording through the chair needs to be correct and not say that we withhold for FY24. I think I saw the word in there, sorry.
Yeah, if you have a look at the end, it says with the exception of.
Yeah.
So you're comfortable with the wording like it is? Yes. Right, yeah.
That's a whole the exception.
Okay, do we have any discussions? So we have.
So through Mr. Chair, are we now dealing with moving an amendment? We're not.
Just clarification, we must be sure that we're not starving the Tangata Whenua and catchment fund grants. We're putting the others on top.
financial year's exceptional.
Those are accepted, those
Yeah.
A and B.
Yeah, remain. So just to clarify, resolution 4 basically says that your other e-fund allocations are put on hold, with the exception also continuing, the Tangata Whenua and Catchment Funding grants continue. How long and
The hill country erosion.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? That passed. Okay, page 85.
I'll move that.
Page 85.
Both, I'm happy to move both.
Do I have a second this? Sure. Okay, Jack. Okay, so
Just a quick comment, that's why I moved it. I just wanted to clarify, so on the top of page, I know we've workshopped it and discussed it, and we've had opportunity to feedback, and I'm happy with it. So page 89, I noticed the inflation increase from Reserve Bank is 8.8, and our increase is 11.4. So I presume that is to go forward to 2024. So that's what it's there for, the extra 2.6 that covers next year as well.
Financial year.
Yeah.
That's right. We future-proofed it.
We future-proofed it, so that's why, because just looking at it,
Yeah,
it's a bit higher than you would get, so 2.6%. So that's fair. So I think that's good, and I think that sends out a good message that we're sticking to the Reserve Bank inflation, and it is 11.4. So our increase. So I think that's to be noted as well. Thank you.
clarification?
I think we've got a bit of a problem.
Okay.
Out of it, and because you've got a conflict of interest, I haven't discussed with you, but I think the chair's car is if you don't take a council car, you're going to be capped at a very low level if you cap the same level as the council.
That's 10,000.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and I just think you're going to grossly exceed that. And maybe it doesn't worry you, but it's pretty unfair.
Okay, you think it's unfair going forward, that it should be?
I don't know if you can actually, I think that's a universal cap nationwide.
Set by the Rem Authority.
Yeah, so, I'm just warning you, you might, you're doing, use your own vehicle every year, but it's going to come at quite a cost, because I know previously when I was on the council, I set the cap probably halfway through the year, all the catchment work I started. And you go down to a level of funding that you can't even run your vehicle at.
Right.
And,
Yes, go ahead.
Just seeking some clarification to Chris, just to make sure that we are correct. So the Remuneration Authority sets the mileage equation, and the situation that Councillor Carr is highlighting is that our chair currently doesn't uses his own personal vehicle rather than having a council vehicle provided to him, which he's entitled to. The scenario is that as chair, you drive around a lot more than other councillors because of your role as the chair, and whether that would then mean that you exceed that cap in the Rem Authority. Chris, just double checking if you know that in this scenario that the cap that applies to all councillors also applies to the chair?
Yes.
It does. So I think my suggestion is that it's just something that we monitor closely with the chair and keep him informed.
It's 300 Ks a week, isn't it? It doesn't take long to be in it.
so look, there's obvious ways when the chair is doing right more for something like that, it's going to be the grab vehicle. Yeah, should do it, because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of money.
Okay, we'll monitor it. We'll monitor it.
We're saying that council car, a little deeper. Okay, so
For a reason, I wonder why that goes
Well,
on.
just as a point ago, I imagine that this vehicle kilometre and travel time allowances was set up to pay for all costs involved by councillors getting to and from meetings.
Right.
As opposed to this seems to be a separate matter of the chair doing that extra business, not of this going to and from meetings, but going to essential business, essential council business. But the two have to be separated so that, yes, to and from meetings up 14,000, but the other one was separated for.
No, it's related to council business. It's, so it's privileged by council business then, it should be for council business. And you're paying for the use of it.
Yeah.
That's what it applies for. So
It's within that financial year too, isn't it? So, really this financial year won't be a problem.
Just two questions. Do we need to go over the account, is that shall be divulged? And also you had the chair of the last term, Pete Smart, who's got her own vehicle. She would have been in the same position as chair. So what did you do?
I don't know off the top of my head whether she got to her cap or not. I'm not sure.
From memory, she decided that her role as chair, she didn't claim that expense at all. So she used her own personal, from my understanding, she used her own personal vehicle, but she didn't claim vehicle kilometre amounts.
No, a lot of times I don't claim either, John. It's not.
We have had situations in the past where councillors have got to the cap, particularly those who have to travel a long distance for meetings, like on Kaitaina, for example. So we have challenged the Remuneration Authority on a number of occasions to try and get the cap changed, recognising that we're a line region and a lot of distance and they've declined each time.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for raising it, Joe. Okay, so
Yep, no one can make a vote on.
okay, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, page 109 is item 8.1. Here all. All right. Bruce, okay. Bruce, you're going to take control. So it's at the health safety report for October to December 2023. Order by Tamsin Sutherland, Health and Safety Advisor, and Beryl Steele, Resources Manager, dated 12th of February 2024, be received. Seconded by John. Any discussion around this report? Jack?
Just to ask Beryl, I see we've got in December we have 10 vehicle events. What does a vehicle event mean? It doesn't mean accidents. Well, because the speed events is above that's 11. This is in addition to the speed events. And you know what? 110. Sharp.
Oh, yes, that will be various incidents with vehicles, mining. Vehicles or scrapes.
They are trending up quite. I mean, I can accept the speed events because we're all guilty and they're pretty even, but the vehicle events, which are, I take to mean accidents, is trending upwards quite a bit.
Yes, but also there's been awareness raised, so people, I saw one of these reports, almost had a duck got raised, right? As a vehicle. So
Yeah.
we're encouraging people to report stuff that could lead to significant serious injuries. So that's why it's turning up.
Okay. Beryl is online now, so thank you. Direct to Beryl. Okay, Joe, Peter, Rick, any discussion around this report?
How big was the duck?
Who owned the duck?
Through the chair, maybe through our audit risk committee, we can look to see what a good review platform is around what is reported and what isn't reported to the councillors, because a duck seems a common thing, a bird is a common thing on the road. But what is a severe event as a result of something down to a scale of a non-event?
I think we talked to Beryl earlier in the city about air reporting. This just comes under the air reporting folder.
I'm sure this is relevant, but there's 3 swans on the road this morning just coming around purple for a rush.
Were? Okay. Fill out a incident report. Mine was a sparrow.
That'll do a bit of damage.
So Chair, I can just make a comment that we do report those kind of events of interest, so that's a critical kind of more heavy risks. But we just trying to encourage that culture. Please report it. If you don't report,
Yes.
it's unmanaged.
Near reporting is very important. organisations where you can find trends. And no, we used it in our own business, and we found that, for example, most of the accidents were after 12 o'clock, so we broke up our days, we worked, all that sort of stuff. So unless you build up a database, it's really it's on the journey. So can we all have in favour to receive the report? Aye.
Aye.
Yes. Okay, 8.2, the chair's report.
Yeah.
Seconded, John. You're just seeing that Jono sent us a backup. I didn't record the minutes as we were having conversations with him there, so he sent that email report. Is there any discussions around that? Okay. All in favour of the
sorry, just repeat that.
Oh, so what happened is when we're meeting with the ministers, I'm doing a lot of the talking, John is doing a lot of the writing.
Thank you.
Okay, so he takes the minutes. Yeah. All right, all in favour? Aye. Against? Passed. Okay, Jono's report, Chief Executive Report, 8.3, page 117. Okay, is that the report be received? Joe, Leo, John and Joe. Okay, got some highlights here. I want to talk about, or is anything here that anybody would like to question? Please, Jack.
I just questioned with Don about the sea spurge. A little bit about this part. It's quite the best. What's your? Could you give us an idea about how you think you got there, and how? Secondly, do you think you got them all? And thirdly, what's the risk of it coming back again? I can't answer that too accurately, but just like a little bit of detail on that. Thanks.
What page 10? Yes, page
135.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, sea spurge. In terms of the first question, this is a plant that would threaten largely the west coast of our region by colonising sand dunes and our foreshore areas, as it is done in Australia. That seed washes across the Tasman, and it can occur sporadically on our shores. So we're never quite safe from this weed. In terms of searching for this, we've aligned with the Department of Conservation. Keeping in mind, this is a Ministry for Primary Industries led project, because this is one of New Zealand's kind of response plants, if you like, the response weeds. However, eyes on the ground, of course, as always, you know, our Kaitiaki, our hapu members are there in these beaches, remote areas, Waimamaku, Waipawa, and further north in the beaches to north of the Hokianga as well. So those Kaitiaki who are working not only as part of agencies, but are working in their own community projects, we think are really the best response we have in terms of finding this plant when it lands and starts to seed. The ones that have been found were actually encountered by revisiting some other weed areas that we had behind the dunes in the Porto area, and were old sites, but they had remnant seeds in the area. And these seeds can last for a long time in the ground, in the sand, and then re-sprout. So need to come back and monitor those again. So it's one we wanted to raise attention right across Te Toketo and the public who are looking at this site, but it is our council's intention to keep working with the Department of Conservation, keep revisiting those known sites, and spread the word to keep eyes and ears out for this bad weed that hasn't yet got a grip on our western shores, and we shouldn't let it.
Thanks, Thanks, Don. Yeah, I really like, Colin, the way that you put all these consents in. Gives us an idea to follow things through. Waiting to process all that. Everybody happy with that new format? So who's going through consenting?
Yeah.
So Northport's a big one for us, so let's see. So yeah, happy with that. Okay, so we'll take the report on it.
Sorry, no, just two questions for me. One is a moderate non-compliance, page 125 on the wastewater treatment plants. Moderate non-compliance is still non-compliance, and it seems to be a big orange for Pakifi flat bar. So when does moderate significance get passed over?
Right.
Okay, we go on.
Oh, sorry, hold on.
I've been asked completely. Yeah. Hey, Bill.
Okay, it's a good point, councillor. Robertson, in terms of moderate is really can be a range of different factors, but they tend not to have any significant adverse effects, and that's why we don't treat it as significant. So the effects of any non-compliance are sort of minor or less than minor. It could be technical issues, not like providing, not reporting, and certain things not being met in terms of the consent conditions.
Okay, thanks.
And I just pick up on the table that it seems that there's none at the moment. But I'm assuming that means that it's compliant.
Well, it's just how we're, yeah.
As per our latest monitoring.
Yeah, good. Thanks. Thanks for that clarification. Second question I've got is coming back to the biodiversity. And thanks for your response by email, Don, on the Pateki. But these feral cats, we think we need to scratch the problem on the head with lamps and possums. And so we do a release and lose half of the endangered foods that we're releasing. It's really heartening, I suppose. So hopefully we are really making a focus and having a positive impact on feral cats to the point of being able to confidently release the Pateki.
Comment on that. There seems to be more cats, wild cats coming to our areas. In the last 12 months, I'm not sure what the reason is. I just think it's not dog. Do carry disease and well sheep farmers, so not just birds to worry about it. They are increasing and don't know the reason.
Colin, like with these consents and the timelines, I know you've got in here comments, the longest one is that it needs to be resolved with fraud. What sort of rights do we have to do that with some of these old ones, like, do they have to reapply?
Yeah.
And a letter and saying that you passed the time, saying.
Yeah, so those long ones are a bit frustrating for all regional councils because under the RMA, we don't actually have the power, if you like, to say you've been on hold for a long time. We're going to cancel it or revoke or anything like that. But we are applying pressure to say, hey, look, this has just gone on too long.
All right. I just wondered if, it came in time. Yeah.
Just two quick. So the Waikiri blessing, Waikiri 2 blessing, any update? We haven't got a date yet, John. I see Louisa was here, but she's not. No, doesn't matter. The other one is, I do want to thank the maritime staff on behalf of my area, especially because the extra enforcement officers were very well received. All right, it's fantastic. Mangawhai is really, really busy, especially, and that latest incident, Mangawhai, got a lot of press regarding the surfer, but it's a busy harbour and they're going on about dredging and the boat going out, and it's just amazing having a person like that. So I do want to pass that on. Thanks very much.
I saw Mr. Lyle.
Oh, yes.
In the hallway the other day. He said he's some technical issues, not far off finishing. He got an offer on the old one for 500,000. Anyway, these interest.
We picked up a berth for the Waikiri. We said,
if we pay for
it. We picked up a berth at Oakwood.
A berth? Yeah, he didn't say anything about that. Right, okay, so we can, all-
If I may, Mr. Chairman, my last comment, just I'd like to record a vote of thanks to the transport folks, through if Louise, I'm not sure.
No, she was.
Online. But, for two things, one, the new, bus route at Tikipunga. And also WDC put in the stops, but our team had to do a lot of planning. So with Chris and his team, Anita and co, done a fantastic job of working with the community. So a lot of happy people up there now. But also congratulate them for the new live tracking system. I noticed it's in here that it's a fantastic feature, and it's going to lead to more people using buses. So yeah, we're really getting up to the place. So we should be quite proud of how we're managing our part of the whole urban bus system. And also we added a bit more. Rick might add to what we're doing in the south, adding on a bit more capacity there, which has been well utilised. Pickering hasn't been, but so successful. But certainly One Point Waipu has been getting a lot of use. So thank you to the staff.
you see how you might bring it in too, and I've mentioned Nikki Fitzgibbons before, but if you see somebody over and above, like Rick, you brought up about Hangai, you need to bring it to this to acknowledge them.
I don't,
Right? So
it's good.
If you know somebody, or you might recommend that the chair or the CE take special notice. And
Well, I do. I want to acknowledge the new hub. But just picking up on, thank you for that. I just want to pick up on Jack's point. I don't know if the public know how good the app is, the live app for the buses.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do. It's fantastic.
Are we lacking?
I don't know.
Are we lacking appetite?
No, I've got it. It's fantastic.
What do you find in the bus? Sign in the bus? I'm not sure. Are they in there? I don't know.
So no, it's fantastic. You can find out exactly where the bus is, and so
maybe Jack can jump on a bus and have a look, see if there's anything missing. You know,
it's a great app. What it is, it's got all the buses are hot dotted, so you can be standing wherever you want to be, and I'll tell you where your nearest bus is, how far away it is it moving? You know, it's just like your Uber. It's fantastic.
It's amazing.
It's real comfort.
Does it tell you you've got a seat available?
No.
All right, so I'd like to move on. Oh, sorry.
Just a quick comment, and it is with regard to the Awanui scheme.
Yes.
In terms of the river work. And you know, we own some land along the Whangakane spillway, and the council purchased that land along California Road. And I just raised to our attention that place and the work that's being done there, and how important it is to work with the Māori landowners of that community. It has been raised to my awareness that there is perhaps an intention on behalf of the council to pull down one of the whare tūpuna that belonged to Paranihi Petera. And if you go along that road, California Road, you'll see there are a lot of old Māori homes, and there's a reason why they stand there. And so I just raise this to our attention, because if what I'm hearing is correct, it is an intricate and very delicate set of circumstances that need to be managed very carefully. And if I'm hearing correctly, that could cause a lot of unnecessary unrest. And so I suggest that we seek some advice from our tangata whenua advisors, and that our staff learn to understand how that land fell out of Māori ownership, and that reconnecting people with place, reconnecting people after we have done our remedial work, I think will be a pathway to restore those relationships. And I just mention that because this is a perfect opportunity for us to work with those communities and those people that are very strongly connected to that place.
Okay, there's two things. Are the houses abandoned?
Well, it depends what your, which houses you're
Well, I'm
talking
just,
about.
I know they're in a spillway that's gonna be flooded. Something like that, or are they on the back of it?
I'm not in a position to sort of give any sort of response around what the risks there are at this time. What I can say is they have been there for over 100 years. The particular house that I'm speaking about is the one that I referenced earlier. If there is a move to disestablish them, it is a very, very intricate and delicate set of circumstances that will need to be managed in the event that we want to have a positive relationship with those iwi from in and around that area.
Yeah, I've just noted it down. Councillor Jones, just repeat the name of the road that it's on. Just
California Road, Awanu.
yes. Is there a reference person that could look at contacting?
I'm happy to follow up as an action.
Yep.
With the staff and leave it at.
That's all open.
There's one on that, Kimberley Road, at the state.
Did Robert have it through data, this one? That one? Yes. Right, we've all got a full quorum, Kevin, they're all good? All good. Okay, so let's go to item 8.4. Legislative compliance, yearly report. They just saying that this report needs to be received. Okay, Rick and Peter Lucas. Any issues with the report, please?
It's hardly a report.
No, it's just we're accepting it. All in favour?
Aye. We have a comment. Okay, just very quickly.
Yeah.
The following settlement acts, the Ngāti Kuri Claims Act, the Te Aupōuri Claims Settlement Act, Ngāi Takoto Claims Settlement Act, Te Raroa Claims Settlement Act, Ngāti Tahu Accumulated Rentals Trust Act, and the Tihiku Omnibus Settlement Act. I draw our attention to that, particularly when we have something before the court, appellants, and areas in those places or those areas of interest that are contained within those settlement acts. It's important that our staff draw their attention to those areas of interest contained within those settlement acts. And that provides assurance that we actually identify interested parties and at times where hearings are concerned, for example, before the Environment Court. And that helps us ensure that we don't fall short of our commitment to our whole settlement acts. And so I draw that to our attention so that we don't do that again.
So you think there's a lack of communication with regarding this?
I don't know if it's communication or awareness, and they might go hand in hand, because if we are not making ourselves aware of the content contained within the Settlement Act, we are unable to communicate because we don't know what we should and shouldn't be communicating about. I draw that to our attention in so much as the regional plan was concerned. I do believe that there was an incident where we could have perhaps engaged with those interested parties, and there are entry points that interested parties can become part of a process.
Yeah.
And what we need to do, I believe, is to make sure that we're aware of the content within those settlement acts that we have a commitment to uphold. That's what I'm raising to our attention.
Okay. So then you're asking that then councillors be aware of issues as they arise with the acts?
I'm not asking that. What I'm asking is that staff are aware of the area of interest. The area of interest is articulated on particular pages of the Settlement Act.
Okay.
Our role is to be aware of those areas of interest. If there are proceedings before the court and these times are interested parties, it is our job to ensure that they are contacted. That's what I'm saying.
So that's an action.
I'm just making a note.
Okay, taking it tonight. All right, so we take that report as all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, move on to item 8.5, page 153. Reporting on long-term plan 2021 to 2031, performance measures for quarter 2 of the 2023-2024 year, item 8.5. Okay, so do I have any receiving this report? Happy to receive. Okay, Rick.
Yep.
Marty. Okay, so any discussions? Take the report has been read. There's a recommendation here that it be received.
Yeah.
So all in favour? Aye. Against? Passed. Okay. That is that. Now we're on to 9.1.
I'm happy to move these, Chair, but we've got 2 copies of the Transport Committee minutes and not no CDM.
Okay, there was a CDM email sent out. I don't know whether that not for the minute, maybe.
Did I miss that?
No, there was an email from Graham.
Oh.
Just bring it up, but whether it is for this.
If the minutes aren't included.
No.
If it is in the agenda, Chair, then we can only adopt, I can receive the regional transport committee minutes. I might.
So I'll cross off civil defence?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just change the road.
Apologies.
Hadn't to read that.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and a question to our governance expert. As a result of that already being moved and seconded, do we now need to amend that motion because the motion was for both of them?
I'm sorry, I actually missed the second one. I was just trying to the technical.
So we can read it, because we become aware that the self defence is now not available.
So who was the seconder?
Marty and Rick.
Okay, sorry, because it's the same as the previous item. So if our original movers and seconders are happy to understand the technical difficulties,
absolutely,
move to the defence.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Okay, we'll go over the land transport. Any discussion around this?
Yeah. Chair, we've actually had a subsequent meeting on the 13th of February. Those, even though there's not approved minutes, maybe they could have been included. Open up to any questions. We've one of the action sheet, one of the important items we've got on that is getting a 17A, section 17A of the Land Transport Act plus review, plus there's 17 points of reference additionally to the general 17A review, and that's been going through various processes to get done, and is waiting for a presentation of the draft of that. Requested that the draft be presented to us before it's amended. Draft's already been available to NTA staff, but not to the transport.
Verify the NTA staff haven't seen the draft to my knowledge.
Shouldn't be. Yeah, it's not as big, but at any rate, that's what I've been. Anyway, so yeah, we hope to get something that's very useful for Northland, and essentially the CEO's commissioner of the board. And we hope that will be very useful for improving delivery of road maintenance and capital projects and prioritisation and stuff like that.
All right. Okay, so any other discussion around?
Probably should say,
Yeah.
when we get what our intention is to do, is, you know, for the RTC to consider it. And we're going to resolve to report to North Regional Council and our councils on the report and make some suggestions. So we'll just sort of wait on that. And it could be if it's could be if there's really broad discussions needed. We think that would be appropriate that all the councils of Northern, because it's all about all the respective councils, should be briefed on. Maybe we host that briefing. Right, you know, so yeah, could be. So I just say, well, that's sitting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vice from this.
Any-
Go on.
Yep. We've got some leadership coming around this issue and stuff. Okay, all in favour of Cedar report, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, we're into business with public excluded. Item 10, we've got any people in the room?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, I'm happy to second. Okay, second mover.
We need to
Yep.
ask any of the public to liberate themselves from the meeting room.
Liberate. Liberate. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have a mover and second.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Okay, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Is that recording?
Who was that?
So that is Paul McCready, who I understand is our forestry consultant. and
Oh,
he will
right.
be insurance advisor. So he'll back in just in the waiting room till the meeting's going.
Thank you.
Give it. Is it?
Still taking over.
What is finished? So, yeah, one was actually John Hyde.
Yeah, it's still going to be out there.
See.